What's the story come out of a combine? I mean, is it still Maxx Crosby, even though we didn't really get much smoke or fire on that front over the weekend? Tom?
I would say Maxx Crosby and his future is as big of a story as you have in the NFL right now. We talked about this last week. We've heard what John Spytek said publicly at the podium, that he expects Crosby to be there, that they've got a great relationship. They talk and text all the time. We have not heard directly from Maxx about how he felt about those comments, how he feels at this point about his future. I have gotten roughly 50 Instagram story alerts from Maxx, who appears to be in the facility shooting all 22 tape of himself making plays, showing himself boxing, shooting hoops, proving in a variety of different ways, A, I'm still a great player, B, I'm a lot closer to health than other people might think that I am. And the Raiders, even though they're not proactively making calls, I would believe that they are going to continue to get calls. And anybody who needs a pass rusher is going to be interested in this because, there's Trey Hendrickson, Odafe Owe. You got a few guys in free agency, but really a trade for Maxx, if you're not going to draft one, is probably your best way to get an elite type of pass rusher. Those guys just don't hit the market. So if I'm thinking, who would be the teams that would make sense for Maxx Crosby? Again, I think anybody who's a contender has sufficient cap space or the ability to create it should be involved. But, a few that would come to mind would be the Chicago Bears, a team that people will remember swung another trade with the Raiders for a pretty high-profile pass rusher in Khalil Mack some years ago. They feel like they're close. They were right there at the end in the playoffs. Could Maxx Crosby be somebody that puts them over the top and elevates that pass rush? I think that would be a fit. I could see Buffalo. They've got some things they've got to work out in terms of their salary cap and how they're going to devote their resources in this offseason with Joe Brady coming aboard as a first-time head coach, and also changing over the defense now with Jim Leonard calling the plays there. But, for Maxx to come in and join that team that's been looking for a closer, they've taken swings at it, signing Von Miller years ago, I could see that being a fit. And then the one that everybody wants to keep talking about, and I do believe that it makes sense, is with the Cowboys. Maxx is from that area. He trains in the offseason with CeeDee Lamb. The Cowboys have ammunition. They don't have any day 2 picks this year, but they got 2 first-rounders. They've got enough cash and cap flexibility. Jerry Jones has indicated they're going to be aggressive, and I believe a lot of that aggressiveness is going to be focused on the defensive side of the ball. What is that price tag going to be? Is it a first-round pick and more? Are the Raiders going to draw a hard line at getting 2 first-round picks? All those remain open-ended questions.
No way.
If we're just looking at this from a leverage perspective, when do you maximize your leverage? I would say it's sometime before the market opens 1 week from today. Because the moment some of these teams that need pass rush help go and spend that money someplace else, you start to run out of suitors, kind of like the Bengals did last year with Trey Hendrickson. Maxx Crosby is different than everybody else who's available. He's 29 years old, coming off of a knee surgery, but still very much in his prime. A culture changer behind the scenes. Obviously one of the best defensive edge players that we have in the entire NFL. He's different, but you still need the money to pay him, and you need the picks, the ammunition, maybe a player to go and acquire him. The moment you start making other moves, it becomes harder. So if the Raiders are going to trade Maxx Crosby, there's no hard deadline on it. He doesn't have like a conversion or anything like that makes it from a contract perspective necessary. But I have to believe the Raiders are approaching this, that if they're going to trade him, doing so before next week would make sense.
Well, even before the draft, obviously. I mean, that would have to be the deadline. And the Cowboys fascinate me in that regard, because if they end up trading Micah and using the draft choices they get to go get Maxx Crosby, I understand Crosby's 4 years older, but he's also a different guy in the locker room. It would be a different setup. And certainly, if I'm the Raiders, I'm intrigued by that 12th overall pick based on all those defensive linemen I just saw work out at the combine. If you can get Mendoza and one of them, you might be tempted on that front, even though Maxx Crosby means so much. It's interesting that the thing is fascinating to me. But the Cowboys, aren't they in the worst cap hell of any team in the NFL right now? Obviously, things can be massaged, but right now they're almost $60 million over the cap. Tom?
There's different contracts that they can dip into and create cap space pretty
Yeah, we're
easily,
gonna get
doing
into all of
simple
that.
conversions on Dak
Okay.
Prescott, among others. They'll get him back closer. There's also the possibility you could trade a player in a deal to go get a Maxx Crosby, which would help alleviate some of that. And then when you go back to the Micah Parsons trade, there's a lot of different ways that you could look at it, and that's one of those rich defining trades that we'll all be talking about for years to come, and analyzing it and hyper analyzing it. But if you look at it from this perspective, if in the end, based on where all these picks ended up going and what they did with them, if they traded Micah Parsons in essence for Kenny Clark, Quinnen Williams, and let's say Maxx Crosby, that's a pretty good haul that allows you to accelerate your rebuild as opposed to just taking those picks, drafting players, and hope they develop into those types of core talent.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end.
Yes,
Thanks for
we
that.
did. You're welcome, Rich. You are completely welcome. Well, hello, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. So, just getting a little background there on the Maxx Crosby situation. Here's what... It's so funny because I saw an article yesterday where they said they were getting more and more of a feeling that Maxx Crosby wouldn't be going anywhere. One, the Raiders kind of put out there they're looking for a Micah Parsons type trade, and that has not apparently come through. We have our people saying, "Oh, I'd trade George Pickens and the number 20 pick and give them to them for their second round pick." And no, I'm not doing that. I get it. Maxx Crosby is a great player, but didn't we just go through this on the other side of the fence with Micah Parsons? Didn't we just trade Micah Parsons to Green Bay, and Green Bay won less games this year than they did the year before? Oh, shit! And now he's injured and rehabbing and probably won't be ready to be 100% to start the season? Didn't that just teach you anything? Did y'all forget about that? Did y'all forget about that? Okay, I'm just asking for a friend because he's rehabbing right now. But when you listen to this is more of the conjecture, I think is the correct word, because this is, I think this is what makes sense. Yeah, well, you can make an argument for that, but there's no meat on the bones. He just said in that conversation that Maxx Crosby is at the facilities every day, tweeting out, pictures and stuff of him working out and letting people know he's in better shape and should return better than he did before. So I'm sitting here saying, where's the meat on the bones on this? Where is this? He says, of course, he throws out Eagles, Cowboys, because right now those are the two teams that everybody kind of talks about. This to me sounds like I guess nothing. So let me go out here and say, I feel like they're going to trade Maxx Crosby, and then all of a sudden everybody, hello, Holly Pierce. What's up, Holly Pierce? As well as Lady Libra double dipping. Alan Williams in the house. TPT's in the house. Patriots, Colts, Cowboy season will be just like Mark's fall. Okay, well, you know what? I didn't bust anything, and I popped right back up. Chosen, tempted, and smells like a Jerry deal. Logan Motorsports in the house. What's up? Broken Halo. What's going on? Delusional Cowgirls fans, you're not getting Max. I'm not looking at getting Maxx Crosby. I'm actually the one that's saying I think it's bullshit. I think that's isn't that what I just said, that I'm not trading that much draft capital for Maxx Crosby? I could have swore that's what I said. Now, some people out there think you got to go get Maxx Crosby at all costs. My thing is, either I'm giving up draft capital or money. I don't want to give up both. my buddies at 105.3 The Fan.
Says, look for the possibility that Maxx Crosby is traded this week and that the Cowboys will kick the tires. Where are you on using 12 or 20? Not and.
Yeah, definitely not and. I'm out on 12.
Okay.
No way,
To
no
me, like, yeah, is Max better than who you're getting at 12? Yeah, tomorrow he is better.
Sure.
You've got to be able to win now and win tomorrow at the same time. Like, that is the sweet spot, the cheat code, the trick, and I just don't think you do that by trading away the 12th pick for somebody who he's on like the 16th hole, 15th hole of his career, 14th hole.
There you
Rushers
go.
can go usually till like 34.
Yeah, they can. I mean, they always do, right? And like, you
Elite
know,
ones usually do.
if he is at his peak? Is he on the backside of his peak?
Yeah, it's probably about now.
The peak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, the Raiders have already gotten the best of Maxx Crosby.
He's 28.
Most likely.
Be 29 in August.
Most likely we've already seen. Now, he might have a year where he pops.
He would ball out for 3 years. I'm confident he'd ball out through age 32.
Possible. Yeah, absolutely possible. I'm just out on that. I'm just out on 12.
How fun would it be to have 12 or to turn 12 into a trade down?
Oh, there.
And then I use 20.
Yes.
So I get Crosby and still 2 firsts.
Yeah, if you could
Or
take
a high second.
if you could take 12 and turn it into 18 and pick up 31. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, that's probably not going to work. You would pick up the next year pick.
Then use 20. But I'm with you. 12 is off the table for me. So I'm like, who could jump us before 20 and it would make sense for them with Crosby?
Rams are the big one because they've got 2 first-round picks. They're at 13 and they're at 29. So if Dallas says, hey, we'll throw you 20, and then the Rams, who very much have the F them picks philosophy and have been willing to trade capital before to get established veterans, if they go, well, we'll do 13, then it may just come down to yes or no, do you want to do 12? Because if you do 12, you can get him. If you don't, then you're not getting him because he's going to the Rams.
He's going to the Rams. All right, you know what? If I can get him for the 20th pick, by all means, go for it. But I do not want to give up a player, not a significant player, not a real player on the roster for a guy who will be 29 years old. No, that's too old. Although, here's where Sugar Daddy, Logan, was up. I have no faith in Jerry and Steven to draft quality players. That's the one thing that you actually can't. Now, I get it. We've got Mozzie Smith and some of those picks and Schoonmaker recently, but first round picks, the Cowboys have actually been pretty good with that stuff. So I'm not going to poo-poo them on drafts. On second round picks, yes. But this is where a philosophy change has kind of happened. A philosophy in Jerry Jones, listening to Jerry Jones in his press conference, I've seen many Jerry Jones press conferences. I've talked to Jerry Jones. And that time, for once, I actually felt like Jerry Jones was looking introspectively and was completely serious. And I felt like that's a man who recognizes it's time to stop bullshitting. I've got to make the rubber meet the road here and do some real shit. And he pointed out this, these players that we draft, they're going to have to play now. And when he said we can't be looking at red shirt players. And what I've always said with the Cowboys, I said, you can usually, 80% of the time, nobody hits 100% on everybody. Nobody. Everybody has some bad picks. But the Cowboys have hit probably on first-round picks more than anybody else. Yes, you can point to the Taco Charlton and the Mozzie Smith, but you also got to point to the Des Bryants, the Micah Parsons, the C.D. Lambs, the Tyron Smith, the Travis Fredericks, the Zach Martins. there are so many incredible players that they have drafted in the first round that you look at it and say, they're pretty good at that. But Jerry actually, what's the word I'm looking for right now? Confirmed what I've always said. They've always looked as the second, first round, you got to get it right. And they do that pretty well. Second round is, how can we find a guy that may be a first round talented guy, but for whatever reason, he's fallen in the draft, be it off the field issues like Randy Gregory, who smokes weed and things, and fell to the second round. Well, we had Michael Irvin out there with the White House, and, he had some of that good old powder and things out there. But come Sunday, Son of John, welcome to being a super fan. Money, 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 money. Son of John, appreciate you, my man. We got to start doing some giveaways. In fact, I have been amiss at this, and I am going to get back on track. In fact, Son of John will be the first one added here. We have, boom, to give, because Mike just did these. Look at that. George Pickens knocking over like they're bowling pins. Eagles. And I think I've got some Dak Prescott ones as well. Mark, because of the new coach, could it be that this year's draft might be different? Carla, you are 100% right on that one, that they are looking at things a lot different. And then possibly with 2 number ones, there's a lot of things that they might be able to do. They might be able to use one of those to trade back. They might be able to package both of those up and trade up. They may end up using one of those and trade for a quality player. They are in the market. And where I was going with Jerry Jones is, and the second round picks are, and we can talk about Boss Man Fat. We can talk about so many of these players that we've just kind of, missed out on the second round because, no, I agree with you. We won't get Maxx. It's too expensive. There you go, Mark. Talk about the Eagles again. Well, hold on. Son of John, I'm back. Sorry. Your boy is back. I had a few crazy things. Appreciate you, Son of John. Money, 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 money. Boom. Money. And Holly, I'm with you on that one too. See, what I was trying to say earlier was these stories that come around aren't necessarily rooted in fact as much as they are rooted in how can I get people to watch? Let's be real here. What I had always done, and maybe I need to get back to it, is you have to evolve what you're doing to get people to watch. You have to change. People get into ruts, and if you do the same thing all the time, people need a new fix. Gina Dallas Diva. I need to change up some of my sound in here and things. So they're looking at it as we can't draft injured guys and think that we're just going to be rehabbing them, especially when you've gotten D's 2 years in a row on your defense. Clint, you're right. I like to use the Eagles as an example. And Logan Motorsports. You know why I mentioned the Eagles? Do you? Do you, punk? Do you? Go ahead. Make my day. The reason I mentioned the Eagles is because y'all are always here. How rude would it be for me to ignore my guest in my home and not make them feel welcome and talk about something that they're passionate about? I'm here for you, Logan Motorsports. That's why I talk about the Eagles. If none of you showed up, I would never talk about them. I'm just giving back to you guys as a thank you for you being here. And mind you, I went yesterday on Lord Brunson's live stream. I even commented, and he said, I don't know, is that the real Mark Holmes or not? And it's like, people, you look for the check mark. It's like, look for the union label. Just look for the YouTube check. Yeah, if you see the YouTube check, it's me. It's me, okay? And he's up in there talking about he has a friend. I know it's hard to believe. I know it's hard to believe that Lord Brunson has a friend. But he has a friend who was allegedly at a party with A.J. Brown, the brand new brothers in town. Yeah, boy. Dope sound. That he's still talking about wanting to be traded. And Lord Brunson ripped him a new one and basically said, you don't want to be here? Let me show your ass to the door. I was like, oh, shit. So, yeah, that's a different take all the way around. So, Logan, I did it for you, man. Okay, I do it for you. Okay, yeah, I took my throat 3 days to heal. Also, I think he went in the... Okay. All right, Dirty. Took me 3 days to heal. Damn. Sugar Daddy, that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line because, think about it. I looked up, Carla, how does one become a channel member? On the description in there's the little link. It says join, the join button. Okay, just hit the join and you can become a channel member. And with that, you'll get a shot glass, you'll get a squeeze star, and you can be part of our members call-in show. And I'd appreciate that very much. Thank you, Mark. God bless. Yeah, Logan, I love you, bro. And I got nothing but love for Eagle fans. Well, some of y'all just, you're not lovable. Logan, some of your fan base, they're not lovable. They're just not even by their mother, not even by their mother. Some of y'all just got some real problems. So Jerry is looking at this draft differently we got to get this shit right, and we have to get players that can play right now. Not project guys, not guys that are injured that will take time to get ready to play. Okay? So that's the great thing. Now, we've heard, and then again, this is where the talking heads, immediately every time anybody is talked about, being able to seek a trade or a team is going to cut somebody, everybody always goes to the Dallas Cowboys because they always sign free agents, don't they? Yeah. So there was the Mika Fitzpatrick. Safety. Yes. An area we definitely need somebody. Who the Miami Dolphins, who are blowing the shit up. Mark, I don't drink. What about a coffee mug? Might be able to do that for you. I might be able to do that because we can do some sublimation ones. So we could probably do a Jobu Sports coffee mug for you. Yeah. And the time before when I went to the doctor, I came out with a sore. Okay. Boy. Okay, Dirty. Dirty's feeling it tonight. I forgot where I was. Oh, Mika Fitzpatrick. Okay. Mika. That basically they're looking for like a 5th and a 7th round pick, possibly for a trade. But here's what teams kind of do. It's like free agencies next week. It's on you to clear that space if you want to do something. Chances are he'll be released. Teams don't want to be left holding the bag because the longer it goes and the closer you get to the draft, the value kind of goes down because everybody's, licking their chops on all these, the fresh meat. Thomas Garrett. What's up, Thomas? How are you doing? And so it behooves you to get this off the books sooner than later. That would be my thought. And it's conceivable that he'll end up being cut. You notice how with guys like Kyler Murray and like Kirk Cousins, they say, barring a trade, you're going to be cut. If I'm actually thinking that I want Kirk Cousins or Kyler Murray, why would I trade for him if the team just said, barring a trade, you're going to get cut? You just let everybody know they're not in your plans. You're going to get cut. Nobody trades for that. Aisha Robinson. What's up, Aisha? How you doing? Nobody trades for that. Okay, so let's talk about the combine a little bit. What's crazy to me is how everybody goes crazy with all of these big scenarios. You got to get clap downs. We should take the 12 or the 20 pick and trade up for that guy. He's generational. He's can't miss. You know, I said he's a safety. Willie, what's going on, Willie? How are you doing? Aaron, how are you doing tonight? Welcome to the chat, everybody. I said, it's a game time. And game time get mad at me if he wants to. But I said, game time, then it makes no sense for me to take my two first, and trade up about 6 spots to reach for a safety. I said, the Cowboys don't believe in safeties. I was like, in 2018 or 2019, there were like Warren Thornhills and all, there was like a plethora of safeties sitting there. And instead of taking one of these great safety prospects, they took Tristan Hill. Who didn't there wasn't a pile of beans. It wasn't a hill of beans. It's like, why would the Cowboys trade up 2 number 1s for a safety? So then you started hearing Saturday that with the Styles brothers doing what they're doing and the other quarterback is looking like he's moving up. And so now all of a sudden, clap downs, they said, hey, he could be there at 12 for the Cowboys. And then a report came out. Prethela? Okay, listen, I'm the word butcher, man. I want you to understand. Let's be clear here. Let me be 100% real with you. I'm not that bright. I'm dyslexic, and I make a lot of mistakes when I say words. So a lot of times I'll hear in my head and they sound right. A lot of times I will do a title that you may have read and said, what the hell is this garbage? But when I wrote it, it made complete sense in my mind. It's just that it got lost in the translation between my eyes and my hands. So when I say Prethela, and it kind of messes with my tongue, you know what I'm talking about, okay? Okay, how should I say a whole lot? A whole lot. And I'm going to get to Bain here in a second. Reuben Baines. So Clab, it turns out, has a meniscus issue, which doesn't a degenerated meniscus. Now, meniscus is the cushion between your knees, okay? You need your knee joint to be able to roll through your meniscus. Sometimes you get a big hit, and the bone digs into it, and you get a rough spot, and it kind of hangs, okay? All right? That becomes a problem. See, it's kind of like my knee, my left knee, and this is what some of you football players will have to deal with as you get older. My left knee has no cartilage in it and hasn't forever, and because my right knee was bad, I leaned on my left knee. And so you can physically see that my left knee is actually bent like this because the outer orbit has basically cut a groove into the other bone. Oh, it's Carl. Well, let's see, Carl. It says Car. See, let me read it. CarlAbrah 2718. Carla. It says Carla. Carla Bro. Okay. All right. So I know it's Carl now. Okay. All right. I got it. My bad, Carl. Okay. No, I have not. I have to. Well, I've forgotten when I've gone home, Lady Libra. They are there at the house, and I will be going home middle of the week. Lady Libra. Shout out to Lady Libra. Okay. Clint, hell no. I don't want no AJ Brown. I don't want Doodoo Brown. No. You missed me. I'm here. Aisha Robinson. I said hello, Aisha Robinson. I said Aisha Robinson in the house. I did. Go back and watch it, Aisha. I did. Okay. So the thing here with Clab is the meniscus, which isn't that bad of an issue. That's something that can be cleaned up. But they say he has possibly a degenerating ACL. Oh, shit! Oh, shit! That's not good. That's not good. Then we hear that Ruben Baines, prospect, and where I thought I had his stats. Let me see if I have his stats here. Ruben Baines, they are saying, could be had for the Dallas Cowboys at 12. Oh, shit! Oh, shit! Ruben Baines, let's go through the numbers here with Ruben Baines real quick before we get a little deeper dive in. Ruben Baines, out of Miami, edge rusher, is like a freak, okay? He's got 6'2" height, 263, good size. Now, Sam Williams is 6'4", 260. His hands are 9 1/8. I think mine are actually 10.5. I got to double check, but I think mine were actually 10.5. Prospect grade, he's a 6.7. And his next gen stats have been 84. Production score, he's a 93, ranked second in edge rusher. Athleticism score, he's 13th from the combine. His total score is at 84, which ranks him second. And so you would say, well, damn, that's pretty good. But there's a knock on Ruben Baines, and that is his arm length. And what they have said is nobody with the arms as short as him have ever been drafted as an edge rusher in the top 100. See, here's the thing you have to look at is they want arm length so that way you can get separation and push that offensive lineman away from you and be able to get your body around him. I look at this. Aisha Robinson. Mark, Aisha was talking to Lady Liebert, not my. Oh, Allen Williams. My bad. Allen Williams. My bad there, Aisha. Okay. I thought you were talking. I was like, Aisha, I know I saw you, girl. I'm glad that you're back. I want my D-line to be a bunch of monsters. I hear you on that one. So that's the knock on Ruben Baines is he's got short arms. And I guess if you're Philly 500, yes, Logan, I mentioned the Eagles. Yes, I did. If you're the Eagles, then you may look at that and say, he's got baby arms. So some people are saying, stay away from him because his arms are too short. And I thought I had a clip about that. But here's my thing. There have been a lot of great players out there that people have a stereotype and say, oh, well, you can't, he's too short. He's too short to play linebacker. Zach Thomas was one of those guys. People looked at him and said, 5'10", he can't play middle linebacker. He's too short. And he shorted his ass all the way to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The Cowboys, Mark, seriously, is that science with the short arms? That's what they say. Now, I look at it like this. For me, short arms mean you have more leverage. You know what I mean? And see, here's where I'm going to be different than other people, too, is because, like, for example, I like a nose guard that's shorter. My one technique guy, I want to be 6 foot and under. I want him to be like a fire hydrant. Or I tell you what. Have you ever walked around a pickup truck and they got the tail ball out there, right? And you walk into that sucker. First of all, you trip over it because it's low to the ground. Second of all, it tears the shit out of your shin. It does. And y'all have seen me fall. You know y'all have seen me fall many, many times. And trust me, I've had my share of hitting the tails on pickup trucks, mine in particular, okay? I go around the corner, and there I go down. You know, it's just not funny when you fall down.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Whoa. Fuck. Dang it.
Yeah. So, okay. So I know a little bit about falling, okay? So B.A.M is falling to 12. Maybe he falls even further and you get him at 20. But we've had guys like, I don't know, T.J. Watt. They looked and said, nah, he doesn't quite fit the mold. So let's get Taco Charlton. Yeah, Taco Charlton. That's the guy. We don't want that. We don't want T.J. Watt, even though his brother was really good. Yeah, no, we want a Taco Charlton. One of the, did I break the pavement? Laugh out. Okay, all right. What am I looking at? You're looking at me falling on the ground. I think I'm going to make a Mark's Biggest Falls video. You know, me falling out of the chair when the Cowboys, lose, okay? Me tripping in the snow and shit like that, okay? Me getting hit in the head with a tripod. I think people would enjoy that. At Mark Time for Stunt Devil. Yeah, there you go. Mark, particular fall needs to be named the Flying Knee Buster. Holly, my knees actually didn't touch the ground. They actually, I literally tripped and just kind of leaped to get on my hands and I was trying to be like a cat sprawling out, boom. And then once I touched the ground, then I gathered and rolled. See, I knows how to fall. Okay. I know how to fall. Okay. So B.A.M could be there. Clap Downs could be there. And for people out there, last week they were saying we need to go ahead and take two. No, we're not doing that because you don't know what these people are actually going to be. Nobody does. Then I saw another one of the talking heads conjectures that's talking about linebacker Devin Lloyd. Oh, man. And they're predicting that Devin Lloyd will sign a 4-year, $76 million deal this offseason, $19 million a year. And they put up here, let me get the numbers exactly right because I don't want to lie on the man. He had 81 combined tackles, 1.5 sacks, 5 interceptions, and 7 pass defenses. And I'm sitting here thinking in my mind about how much money that is, right? Which would you take? Would you take Devin Lloyd, right? If I said you can have Devin Lloyd here, $19 million. Or you could have Nakobe Dean and Demario Davis. Which would you do? And FYI, now you could say, well, Demario's old. Yeah, I hear you guys. He's 36 years old and just came off of 143 tackles. Half a sack, 7 tackles for a loss, 2 forced fumbles, and a partridge in a pear tree. He'll probably be about $7, $8, $9 million. Nakobe Dean, about the same number. So do you put all your eggs in one basket where you have to tie yourself up to 4 years at $19 million? Or do you look at a guy like a Demario who's about to be a free agent and say, I've got him for a year, maybe it's a 2-year contract, 143, and mind you, Demario, it's insane. Demario in the 9 years, God, has it been that long? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, it's been 9 years. Since he left the Jets, he has missed. Oh my God, I lied on him. I I said he missed 2 games in his times with New Orleans. He only missed 1. 1 game in 9 years. That alone for a Cowboys linebacker should make him stud. The worst season he's had with New Orleans is 105 combined tackles. We messed up when we didn't get Bobby Wagner in 21. I look at this and I say the Cowboys need more numbers. Okay? Now, what about this? Here's another crazy one. Here's another crazy one for you. Because we're about to. Carl. First of all, that's a guy who plays downhill. He's going to give you it all every Sunday. And he is a leader, God-fearing leader. He got a lot of kids, all with one woman. All with one woman. Yes. It seemed like every time I talked to him, they just had another baby. I bet you having one right now. Right, I'm telling you, DeMario is the real deal. I would take him in a heartbeat. But you could get a Nakobe Dean, and you get a DeMario who could help coach up your guys and gives you a true linebacker that's a beast. That would be me instead of saying, and I'm not saying that Devin Lloyd's bad. I'm not. But again, $19 million. Now, the Cowboys, we're going through and we're doing our restructuring. At this moment, if you go to over the cap, we're $56 million over the cap. But that's before Dak Prescott's restructure counts as $31 million saving. That's before CeeDee Lamb's $19 million savings. That's before. Who would I rather have, Mark? DeMario Davis or Bobby Wagner? I'm going to say DeMario. Allen Williams. I'm going to say DeMario. He is a little bit, not much, but a little bit younger than Bobby Wagner, and I think he's still got a little bit more in the tank than Bobby Wagner does. Now, I'd be happy with either of them. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I'd rather take any of those than taking Kenneth Murray. I'll give you that one. Okay, so let me go to the Cowboys cap situation. If I can find my damn cursor. Okay, let me look at the restructures here. You get 31 for Dak, you get 19 for CD, you get 17 for Tyler Smith. That alone gets you to about 10 before you add on the second round tenders. Okay? You got Quentin Williams. You can flip the trigger on his, and you can get 14.5 right there. Then you got Osa and Digazuwas. You flip the trigger on that one, you get 12. Now, Kenny Clark. Here's the thing. You could flip a trigger on him and save 9.5. Or you could release him and get 21. Or you could Thomas Garrett, member for 74 months. Damn!
Oh, shit!
Neither linebacker can't hurt you. You're right about that. Or you go ahead and get him a new deal, and I'm betting that they get him a new deal, and you probably could save about $15 million on the first year. So that's another spot where you can get some more money. There is Terrence Steele that you could cut, or go ahead and restructure him. There is Deron Bland, but I don't think they want to touch Deron Bland. I think they're going to keep him at the $17 million. That's on there. And there's other ones that they can do. So if they do the ones that they've already said and do something with Kenny Clark, they'll be somewhere around $45 to $50 million of cap space. That's good. So you have to be very careful on how you spend it. You're going to need 10 of that for the rookie class. Now, how about we get kind of crazy here for a second? Now, this is an older player, and I don't think that they would go for it. But with Donovan Easy and the meniscus injury, Donovan Easy had labrum surgery on his hip about 5 weeks ago. And so he's going to miss all of the OTAs and off-season workouts and probably will be ready for training camp. That may make it more urgent for the Cowboys to bring in somebody. We know that Clowney, they said, we're not sure he fits what we want to do. But what about somebody like you may see on the streets, like Cam Jordan? Cam Jordan just came off a 10.5 sack season. He's going to be about $4 million. Now, do I expect him to be a 10.5 sack season this year? No, I don't. But we didn't have anybody with 10.5 sacks last year. Remember, Clowney was our leader at 8.5. You can never get enough big guys there. Okay? Worth kicking the tires on. I'm telling you, it's worth kicking the tires on. All right, so the next thing, it sounds like Brandon Aubrey is going to get his deal. Yay! It turns out there was a lot of BS that was going around. Some of the Cowboys sports writers admitting, I kind of got that wrong. The Cowboys originally offered Brandon Aubrey a highest contract back in September and had not offered a new one yet. And they even bumped it up some. And they decided, we'll wait till after the season's over before we do anything. And that's where it was. But they are supposedly negotiating in good faith. There haven't been any, as far as we know, official contract negotiations on George Pickens, but that's another spot the Cowboys could pick up a whole bunch of space. And so I'm going to ask you this. Which is better? If I said, you can have George Pickens here with no contract, just a free agent, right? Right? Yeah. Are you mesmerized by the hand? Are you mesmerized? Okay. All right. So you can have, shout out to Holly Pierce. I haven't mentioned I like Singleton. Don't know if I've mentioned it. No, I didn't realize you mentioned it there, Holly. But listen, you could have George Pickens. Look, you could have George Pickens right here. $27 million, no strings attached. Or over here, you could have George Pickens on a long-term deal, right? Long-term deal for about $8.5, $9 million. And with George Pickens, you'd have $19 million to spend on free agents. So what if you took that $19 million, and with George Pickens, let's see, you got a Cam Jordan. Let's say you got a, who else are we going to say? Somebody who's about $10 million. Who are we going to say? I don't know. Actually, you could put Clowney back on there. Okay, you put Clowney and Cam Jordan on that and still have about $10 million left to go. Which is a better way to go? George Pickens here, 1 year and you're done? Or George Pickens and about 3 guys with the extra money? It's not rocket science, y'all. It's not rocket science. That's what I would be doing, is I'd be trying to get that contract done and get myself some more cap relief. This is one other thing I do want to get through. Shout out to Rich Eisen. Rich Eisen isn't like most of the other shows where they give you a whole bunch of bullshit, yelling and screaming and all that. He actually has real conversations. Mark, if you keep doing that with your hands, people are going to think I ain't right. Okay. But see, I like that. It's kind of like, these are not the droids you're looking for. Okay. Here we go.
What if
the
Micah Parsons trade for the Dallas Cowboys, in the long run, turns out to be in favor
of the Dallas
and
Cowboys,
won by Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys? What if that is in fact the case? Because, again, the way that you acquire and then turn into more assets when you trade someone away. Tom Pelissero just said, if they land Maxx Crosby,
If.
and they could basically say, listen, we know what the compensation comp is because we're the ones who created it.
That's true.
For somebody 4 years younger than Maxx. So we know what the compensation should be for Maxx Crosby. If anybody knows what the market bears, it's the one who said it and created it. It's us. And if you want Maxx to wind up in a spot where he'd be happy, and if you want to not see him more than but once every 4 years, like a comet,
Like a comet.
you know,
Haley's Crosby?
Every 86 years.
listen, I'm not a scientist. I don't play one on TV.
Totally
I'm just telling you the way it can be
Of course.
sold. That's not a bad idea. And if you get Maxx and Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark, and that's the way that you fill out your defensive line by trading away Micah Parsons.
God, if you're listening, help.
How can anybody sit here but say, oh, my goodness? Which is why, Jerry doesn't mind when you send slings and arrows in his way if he's playing the long game.
He loves it.
Now, interestingly enough, George Pickens has been franchise tagged, and the guy who he needs to be negotiating with for a longer-term deal is David Mulugeta. Who is the agent of Micah Parsons.
Yeah, that part.
Yeah, but
Jerry
listen to
claims
Jerry
not.
Jones kiss his ass.
Apparently, he's in talking about the possibilities of negotiating with him and how it's still fine. I think he confirmed they still haven't met.
Regarding his representation, I can clearly work with his agent, not clearly to you, but clearly to me. I have no issues. We haven't met, as you well know, but we haven't met. But to the end that we can have discussion about him and other players that he represents. We understand the angst that's there, how he's representing and his goals of maximizing the dollars. And he clearly is accomplished enough to know the alternative to that is our job of managing the club and the salary cap and getting as much mileage out of the cap as we can. No mistake about how much we want George Pickens to be a part of our future. And I would want all of our fans to rest assured that I have every intention of working very good with his agent. I have no reason to have an issue other than the fact that he represented Parsons, and we ended up making a trade with Parsons. But y'all heard me say before that had little to do with his involvement. That was more about just the situation, criticize me or not, about what Parsons was worth in a decision on our part.
Here's the one thing I know that George Pickens is not going to do, even though Stephen Jones went on Friday's show on us and said that Jerry and George had already spoken and George was excited about still being a Dallas Cowboy, loves being a Dallas Cowboy. The one thing that George Pickens is not going to do is shake Jerry's hand and say, we've got a deal.
Nope, he's not going to do that.
That's the way you wind up on the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, we can't have that again.
So,
Be good for George.
hey, George is in a great spot, man, where everybody's looking at 88 maybe, and he's doing his thing, and the run game's working, and the tight end game's working, and the
Life is
offensive
a lot
side of the
easier.
ball, I am not worried about for the Dallas Cowboys.
I'm happy with that.
And if they're able to take the 12th overall pick, and instead of using it on a young defender, get Maxx Crosby for it, right?
I mean, unless,
And you go to work with Quinnen and Maxx Crosby and Kenny Clark, and then you use your other first-round draft choice on somebody else at 20 overall. You get another defender, and it's Maxx Crosby and another defender. You're not too far away. I know I just went higher register. You're
You're not too
I'll knock
far
off
away.
the higher register. You are not too far away. You're just not. Overshown's going to be
Philly 5. How are you
healthy
doing tonight, man?
From jump. You feel coaching wise, you've gotten it better on that side of the ball.
No, you didn't
Am
go
I
to him, Holly. Damn.
off on this? I don't think I am.
Cowboys have the 8th best odds to win the NFC right now.
Why wouldn't? Well, I mean, that's not great. That's right in the middle of the pack.
Right in the middle. Yeah. Yep. Right in the middle. Just ahead of Tampa, right below the Bears.
Because if you offer your 12 and another compensation and another player, and you say, "I want Maxx Crosby,"
sure, man.
Don't you do that? If you're the Raiders and he doesn't want to come back,
If you're the Raiders,
yes, right.
Very much.
So you got the 1st and 12th overall pick in this year's draft. You get your quarterback, and you see everybody that just worked out at that combine. My God, you can get yourself a terrific young edge rusher. Start the clock from the beginning.
There you go.
You got to
Ruben
consider
Bain.
it. And I was just like, yeah, they're not trading Maxx, nor should they. But then you take a look. Do you think the Cleveland Browns should have traded Myles Garrett or paid him?
Traded him.
You know what I mean? You pay him all this money. He has a record-setting year.
Congrats for
And
what?
you do
And
that.
he's the unanimous no-brainer defensive player of the year. How bad were the Browns last year?
Mm-hmm.
My point on why you end up holding
So
on.
even
why
using
you
that
trade,
as a guide,
then why do you trade for Maxx Crosby?
wouldn't you rather have all those draft choices right now than, hey, wasn't that?
There you have it, right there. That's what I wanted you to hear. So you look at that and say, Myles Garrett had a historic season, record-breaking sacks, defensive player of the year. Team was ass. There you have it. And they're looking at it and saying, damn, wouldn't we like to have all those picks? So why would we want to be on the other side of that with Maxx Crosby? I don't think we do. Philly, I am doing great. And Sure Made, shout out to you for the super chat there. Being mesmerized. All right, so I think we're caught up with everything that's going on here. Ruben Bain, short arms or not the guy or not. That guy is a beast. Yeah, it's like one of those things that the bottom line is, can he play football? Can he play football? And what I here's what I will say. At 12, I still think you're going to be getting a hell of a player. I'm not trading my 12th unless I'm trading back. There's a guy that I've targeted that's fallen that I think I can get like we did with Micah and pick up like we did a 3rd-round pick and we picked up Golston. Dave, how you doing, Davey? Mark, how's Tracy? Tracy's good. She's good. 60 never looked so good. Good night, Logan Motorsport. Good night, Logan Sport. I'll bet Green Bay would take a number 1 this year for Parsons with the messed up a knee. I bet you they would wonder if they could. Can we send him back? Can we get a refund? I'm betting that they wish they could, but that ship has sailed. So in the meantime, it has gotten late here, guys. I can't believe how fast an hour goes by. I appreciate each and every one of you guys, and I have to say thank you all so much for watching and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. There are so many different places that you guys could be, and you chose to be here, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And look for some changes. We're going to be doing a few different things here with the studio, and we're going to be kind of changing things up a little bit this off season to try and bring you a little bit better content as we get ready for the draft. I can't believe we are 7 weeks away from going, so I can't wait. In the meantime, it's time to turn out the lights. This party's over.
Turn out the lights. The party's over. They say that all good things must end. Call it a night. The party's over. And tomorrow